Hello, my name is Bob Nutter. I'm the Principal Examiner for Eduqas A-Level Economics, and this PowerPoint presentation explains the new specification. Eduqas is the new brand from WJEC to provide reformed GCSE and A-Level qualifications in England. Why Eduqas? Most A-Level economics specifications are quite similar, due to the demands of the national subject criteria. So what makes Eduqas different? There is a philosophy from Eduqas which we believe benefits the candidate. The candidate comes first. There are no tricks in the exams or in the way they are marked. There are no over-prescriptive mark schemes. There is flexibility in the mark schemes. And there are economics questions about economics. There is a small team of experienced markers, all who have an input into the marking scheme. There is a face-to-face examiners conference for each examination paper, and a very thorough question paper evaluation committee meeting. Eduqas provides a personal touch. There is quick and personal feedback to schools and colleges with concerns. The subject officer is a subject specialist. New materials are designed by current teachers, who are also the senior examiners and the specification developers. English centres form 55% of the current examination entry, and there's been a steady increase since 2010. The Eduqas Economics A-Level was the first to be approved by Ofqual. The existing WJEC A-Level Economics does not have units which are content-specific, and this gave the WJEC as an awarding body an advantage when addressing the requirements of the new specification. There is a three-paper structure to the Eduqas Economics A-Level and a synoptic approach. There is a multiple choice / structured questions paper, a data response question paper, and a structured essays paper. Looking at the question papers in detail, first of all, the multiple choice and short answer paper. There is Section A, where there are 20 multiple choice questions. Section B, there are structured questions, testing economic theory and use of data. There are 60 marks on this paper. Questions are drawn from the whole of the specification. This is an example of a typical multiple choice question, testing microeconomic theory. The answer is E, because the marginal revenue falls at twice the rate of the average revenue. This is a typical example of a macroeconomics multiple choice question. The answer is C. This is typical of a structured question that would appear in Section B of Paper 1. The data is on corporate tax rates. The command word, discuss, means that the candidate is required to do some evaluation in this question. Paper 2, a data response paper, comprises two compulsory data response questions which carry 40 marks each. Questions are drawn from the whole of the specification. Paper 3 is an essay paper, and candidates are required to complete 3 essays. The paper is divided into 3 sections. Section A, Microeconomics, Section B, Macroeconomics, and Section C, Trade and Development. Candidates are required to choose one essay from a choice of 2 in each section. Each essay has a Part A and a Part B. Part A is non-evaluative, Part B tests evaluative skills. The content of the syllabus is reflected to some extent in Sections A, B and C, except the Section C essays will be drawn from part of the macroeconomics section of the syllabus including exchange rates and the balance of payments. This is a typical essay from Paper 3. Part A carries 10 marks, and the command word explain involves no evaluation requirements from the candidate, testing mainly knowledge and understanding. Part B, the command words are to what extent, and as a result the candidate will be required to evaluate. Part A carries 10 marks, Part B 20 marks. Specification coverage. Much of what is in the new Eduqas Economics A-level specification is already familiar to many teachers. However, a number of changes have been brought in. For example, in demand and supply, candidates will now be required to have some understanding of marginal utility and the income and substitution effects of a price change, although equimarginal returns and indifference analysis will not be tested. In the labour market section, elasticity of demand and supply of labour is a new requirement. In market structures, candidates will be required to understand and be able to work from a matrix in relation to the Nash equilibrium. In macroeconomics, candidates will be required to understand the role of quantitative easing and how it is expected to work. They will also be expected to know how and why central banks may intervene in the banking system. Candidates will also be expected to understand the differences between Keynesian and monetarist/classical approaches as they apply to aggregate demand and supply, and of course the short and long run Phillips curve. In global economics, candidates will be required to understand the term optimal currency area in relation to economic and monetary union in the EU, for example. One of the major changes to the new specification is in financial markets, which is dealt with in the next slide. It is also important to remember that quantitative skills now account for 20% of the assessment, and candidates will be required to do calculations in parts of the examination, for example with index numbers and possibly also the calculation of the area of consumer surplus or producer surplus. One of the major changes to the new A-level economics specification concerns financial markets and the financial sector. Candidates are required to understand the changes in the structure of the UK economy in recent years, in particular the growing size and influence of the financial sector. They should be able to explain, with appropriate examples, how asset bubbles may arise and what the economic consequences of such bubbles may be. They also need to understand the role and purpose of regulation. However, they will only be expected to have an awareness of the role of the regulators such as the Financial Policy Committee, the Prudential Regulation Authority and the Financial Conduct Authority. They will not be expected to have a detailed understanding of the system of financial regulation in the UK. The Economics A-S level. The Economics A-S level is meant to be freestanding and co-teachable, meaning that in, for example, Year 12, there could be candidates who are taking both the AS level and the A level. It is a two-paper structure with a synoptic approach. Structured question paper counting 40% of the marks and a data response paper counting 60% of the marks. The question setting philosophy of Eduqas in economics. We want to use economics, but not have economics for its own sake in our papers. Our questions will be contemporary and relevant, and above all, fair. In summary, Eduqas Economics offers a small, flexible examination board with a personal touch, a growing market share in England, a belief that the candidate comes first, and a synoptic structure allowing more interesting questions to be set. A comprehensive bank of teaching resources being provided for centres. If there are any further questions which could be answered following this presentation, please contact either Stephen Oliver, the Subject Officer, or Sally Griffiths, the Subject Support Officer, whose emails are shown on this slide. Thank you very much for watching and listening.